to think of like where we should start it. So probably start with saying like that we're in Cold Iron Gym. I'm trying to think of like maybe us saying how we like met each other, how we started in this position in the first place. Which I was trying to think about on my walk. I was like, I think we like started with you just messaging me because you came here once for that strongman thing.
Yeah, but I came here in 2023.
Yes, that's right.
For that first year, I was here with Jordan Phelps.
Right, yeah.
And I got dragged into it because I was supposed to have that day off. And he was like, I need you to help me unload things.
I didn't know that, really?
That's why I was here.
You got suckered into it.
I got suckered into it.
That's funny.
But then, yeah, I messaged you.
That's, okay.
Well, like 6 months ago?
Yeah. So I think we can probably start with that, and then we can talk about, like, okay, so if we go from that.
We can also, like, if we intentionally pause for like 10 seconds in between questions,
yeah,
we can swap the orders around as well.
That's true. We can swap it, and if we feel like we're slow, we can speed it up.
Yeah.
So we can speed up the tone, like, because I don't think we're both like super speedy talkers. You know, the people that are like.
I am, but I've learned to slow it down because most people don't hear it properly.
Right. If you're ranting, it's fast, and then and then you're like, fucking catch up, motherfuckers. Okay, so then so let's put that in, and we can make to change the order if it sounds like something else that we say is a better intro. I kind of like the idea of the starting it with like
just some random.
I think that's so funny.
I wonder how hard it would be to get AIs to do voiceovers of different.
I'm sure there's a way, right?
There's got to be. I've just never tried to delve into that part of the AI because I find it kind of scary.
Yeah, I think we should try it and see if there's something that we can come up funny to intro it. But. Anyways, let's just go into it. We are here in the headquarters of Cold Iron in the office where Jared and I work together. Jared and I got in touch about 6 months ago. He slid into my DMs and was very straightforward with his questions. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? Because I didn't really understand your questions at first. And you were asking about like memberships, because this is when I started the 24-hour access to the gym with the swipe key. And I didn't really know where you were going with your questions. And I think you started with a regular gym membership first.
Yeah, originally I just wanted to have a separate space to train in.
Yeah.
Somewhere where I didn't have clients that I knew coming in and would get paused throughout my workouts. Mm-hmm. And also this place is like 70% closer to where I live.
Yeah.
So instead of a half an hour trip, it's just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
But I believe you followed up with questions about coaching here.
Yes, I did. I reached out to you for coaching stuff because I was very I like working a lot with other coaches. I have trained a ton of coaches in my lifetime and learned from a lot of different coaches. And I love working together, and I love watching certain things with coaches when I think they have it. And I think you have it. And so I think that was one of those cool things of, it's never supposed to be like, when I see something like that, a position of like pressure or anything like that, obviously there's no gun to your head to be like, you have to train people out of here.
Yeah.
But I think in this, especially, well, I can speak for my industry of, I want to see other people successful. I want to be successful, but I want other people to come along with me. And I was like, I just think you have it. And so that's why I brought it up to you in the first place of, is this something that you would dabble with or think about coaching people out here? Especially like now too, having you under this roof, I love listening to the way you coach and the way that you treat people and the way that you can tell you give a shit about what you do. And I think that's really awesome to watch. But I think a lot of the time, especially for this industry, it's so close, like it's so hard for people to reach out to other people to say like we can learn off each other, and I think it's so fun to learn off other coaches. And I don't think that's like a representation of how I coach. Like I can say you're a good coach and I can still say I'm a good coach. It doesn't have to be one or the other, and it doesn't discredit my skills.
Especially because we kind of fall into different niches.
100%.
It's competitive in that there's a limited number of clients.
Yeah.
But we don't go for the same ones.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very good point too, of like the different niches for things, because I think now I've learned that I can look at another coach's program. It could be in my wheelhouse of training people to get stronger, whatever. And I could look at their program and be like, that's not really a program I would pick. I don't think it's that great. But if the person believes it works and they believe their coach has their best interest, then who the fuck am I to say what's what?
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's where sometimes now that kind of gets lost in translation with other coaches now too, is the I'm the best and this person's shitty. I don't think you should discredit somebody else's work because they're doing something right in order to be building a business in the first place. So if they're like, maybe that coach has less knowledge than I do or has learned from less people, maybe they're a better marketer. So I got to give them props for being a better marketer.
Heck, they might even just know things about the client that you don't.
Exactly. And I think that's also another thing of like, at the end of it, our job is to make our client better. If somebody else is like, I think this other person is going to get me to where I want to be, then power to you. Like, if you think that coach is the one for you, fucking go for it.
You have to.
You have to. And I think that's like, a lot of people will shit on like other people, coaches will shit on other coaches in order to be like, well, I'm better. You should believe you're better. You should actually believe like I'm the best and that's why you want to build yourself, but not at the expense of shit talking other coaches.
Yeah.
You should be spending the time to make yourself a better coach and learn what that coach is doing differently than you and learn from that.
For sure.
Whether it's business, whether it's like maybe they check in on their clients more, maybe they text them 5 times a day if they got their fucking steps in. Like, I don't know, whatever that person is that they need. If that person reaches out to me that's like, I need that, I need a coach that's going to text me 5 times a day to make sure I got my steps in, that's probably not going to be me. And that's okay. But I'm like, I give that coach props that he's the coach that's going to check in on you 5 times a day to make sure you're getting your steps in, if that's what you feel like you need to reach whatever goal that is that you have.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I went to from that. Oh no, you starting here.
We started with just talking about other coaches reaching out.
Yes.
I've always been of that similar mindset though. Like even when I first started, I got certified. I hadn't had even my first job in fitness yet, and threw my girlfriend under the bus to do this. And she did not like that at all. But that's
what does that mean? Wait, what do you mean?
So we were at No Limits. She was doing the boot camps there at the time.
Yeah.
And she was having knee pains.
Yeah.
Doing any squatting or lunging movements. And I went around to every single coach that was on the floor that day and I just asked them how they would fix it.
Yeah.
They all gave a very, very different answer. Not a single one of their answers lined up with what I would have done. So, being that I had a very big lack of experience at that time, I took pieces from each of it, pieces that I liked, and I discarded the rest that I just fully didn't understand because this was just an in-passing comment. I'm not going to take their time because I'm not paying them to answer this question.
Yeah, you're not getting deeper into the conversation.
So I just took all these little bits of experience from each of them, put it into a thing, and fixed her knee pain. And I think when we look at what other coaches do, we say, why are you doing that? That's not how I would do it.
Yeah.
This would be better, or that would be better. But they all have a very different way of thinking about a problem and solving a problem.
Yeah.
Every single one of their answers potentially could have worked. And I think that when you go and you change another coach's program, they look at it as an attack. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's not how we need to do things. If we're gonna progress this industry in the direction that you think it should go in, we have to be more mindful of why things are being done and how there is infinite answers to solving all of these problems. Because none of them are perfectly straightforward. There's so many different ways that you could solve it in this order, in that order, that it can't be viewed as an attack or we're just not gonna progress anywhere.
You're right. That's a very, very good point. I think sometimes people will just look at something as what it is and then just be so close to like attack it. Like, why are you doing it this way? As opposed to, like you said, maybe going deeper into it of being like, there's probably a reason though. And like you said, taking bits and pieces from each one. And I think the problem of like the social media aspect now is that's what people look at. They look at they want the one solution and the one answer. And I think based on what you said, talking to other people, like learning from other people and certificates, knowledge, whatever, but fucking taking the time to just do the shit. Like taking the time in the gym and actually being like, knowing and understanding are two different things.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I think getting your time to actually understand what that person is going through of like, okay, there's the reason for this. Maybe we should implement this into that as well. And this might work better for you. Because I think a lot of the time it's that answer that person might give might have been only what the textbook said or only what works for them.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of it of, do you know based on feel or experience or just what you read in front of you? Which is also very different into implementing it into real life, like a real person, right? A textbook and a real person are two different things. You have the basis of things, but I think also sometimes I can go, now it seems like the industry is going more into that way of where we're just kind of listening to, I'm saying politely, the science nerd, where it used to be like you just talk to the biggest guy in the gym and see whatever the fuck he did.
Yeah.
There's a balance in between the two of it's like, okay, I want to ask the person that clearly has been doing this for 30 years, but also like, what's the new science saying? There is a place in the middle.
For sure.
It doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think that comes from experience and conversation, which if we're going to go to our previous point, I think gets lost along the way if you're so in your head about talking to other coaches or reaching out to other coaches. And what I would like here, I think it would always be really awesome to have like a coaches seminar, all those things, so people can get ideas off of each other. And I've always liked that kind of feel and community about other coaches in the industry. If that were ever going to be a possibility of doing a coaches seminar, I always thought it would be kind of cool. But me digressing again, but going back to your previous point of the asking the other people, now there's almost that fear of asking of like, you don't want to be a pain in the ass to somebody else, or like right now is so much you put your headphones in and you do your shit. It's great to put your headphones in and be focused and do your stuff, but if you have a question, I think it's so important to just go and like see what somebody else would have said.
Yeah, and like being in commercial gyms, private gyms, gyms that only do classes, gyms that only do open floor space, I've never been yelled at for asking a question.
No.
Nobody's ever been mad. Most people get super excited.
They
when
do.
you randomly take an interest in what they're doing,
Yeah.
especially if they're passionate about it and have been doing it for a long time. They don't really get props like that in real life.
No.
It's super easy to get likes and comments on social media, but you don't have people coming up to you and being like, dude, that's like fantastic what you're doing. How did it come about?
Yeah.
Or why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Everybody that I've ever asked has been so excited to answer those questions.
There's an underlying passion there that you're like lighting that fire for them to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
One time I was in Mexico and there's a trainer there and she was training training one of her clients. So she's working out of the Mexico gym. I'm just doing my own workout. The coach there is training somebody and she's watching me do my stuff and like finishes up with her client, comes up to me and is like, can you tell me how to box squat? And so I went over like a box squat seminar fully with her. I taught her about accessory works. I taught her about band tension. I taught her about all these things. We ended up doing that for like over half an hour. But she was just like, but it was so exciting to me because I'm like, oh, you really want to know.
Yeah.
You know, when someone's just saying it, you're like, you're actually interested. Like, and I think that's anyone that has questions based off of like, I like what you're doing, tell me about it. Teaching people is so fun.
Oh yeah.
So you can teach someone that hopefully not only betters them, but betters their client. And they come back to you and they're like, oh, that worked. Right? It's the same thing of like right now I'm working with a different physiotherapist on when their client is done with them, I help them with their program. So once they're like done seeing the physiotherapist, they have their program that they take home. A lot of the time people don't do it or they're doing it wrong. So now my position is like, okay, so I'm not changing any of the stuff they have. I'm like, but this is how you do a pull apart. You're doing it like this. Let me show you how to do a regular. And they're like, oh, that makes so much more sense. So all the tools are there. They just have to learn how to use them. And that's not me sitting there like picking it apart and being like, I think a pull apart is useless. You should be doing a seated row. I'm just throwing random shit out there. But I'm not changing anything. how can we make this better for you?
Yeah.
Because you can see, you can feel, you can touch, you can like notice in the person's eyes, oh, you don't feel that where you're supposed to. And I think like, again, that's just like the art and like beauty of like conversation of talking to people in the gym too. But going back to your previous point of, okay, so you walked around the No Limits, you were asking them what they did about knee stuff. So you threw your girlfriend under the bus, you're getting information.
Threw her under the bus, got the information, and like she was more terrified than I was.
Sure.
For me to go around and ask all these other coaches for free for opinions on how to fix a problem with somebody who's not their client.
Yes.
As somebody who was also technically a coach.
Right.
And I think that, well, we did kind of cover it, but I think that's just missing.
Yeah.
I think we don't do that enough, and everybody views changing somebody's thoughts, suggestions, or programs as an attack.
Mm-hmm.
You say, why did you do this? Or couldn't this be better that way?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, how dare you?
Yeah.
Instead of, why are you thinking that?
Yeah, exactly. And let me think about it. I never thought of it like that. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like I said, even time into the gym, sometimes with like a client, they'll be like, could I do like this after this exercise? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I never thought about that. But that's like a good addition because that would help fatigue your biceps more. You're trying to grow your arms. Okay, I never thought about that, but I like that, what you're doing here. So I think it's almost like a control aspect that people don't want to let go of either, of being like, no, I'm in charge here, so I can't take what you're saying because you're paying me,
or they're worried that like you're gonna come in and steal their client
Yeah.
because you suggested a different order and maybe it works better.
Yeah.
So instead of just internalizing that and changing how they think about it because maybe it is straight up just better,
Yeah.
they just get too defensive.
Yeah.
It's just a constant fight.
Yeah. And I think a good enough reward, and I can speak for, I mean, maybe you can speak differently if you feel differently, but a good enough reward for me is if you gave me feedback on something and I tried it for a client and I came back to you and I said, that fucking worked, that probably feels pretty damn good on you, that you're like, yeah, I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So then after you started training so you guys were at No Limits together, how long were you training at No Limits for?
I didn't ever actually coach out of No Limits.
Oh, yeah,
this was just like, I had my cert for like 3 months or so.
Oh, okay.
Before, like, I was trying to get my foot in the door places, but I just had no clue how the industry worked at that time.
Right.
And she had a problem that I wasn't confident in fixing.
Right.
So I just went around and asked a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've had the opposite experience that we just talked about, where I've had other coaches not be too thrilled about asking questions. They think you're stealing things. They think you're attacking them. They think that you think you're better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good for clients.
No.
It's not good for the future projections of this industry. It's just not good for anybody.
Yeah. It's spending too much time defending yourself and your abilities as opposed to just maybe gaining a little bit more knowledge. I think that's like as old as the fucking saying is, like, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
When I feel really insecure about something, it's because I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't know the answer. So I'm also, for anyone that doesn't know, I am the slowest goddamn learner. I am ridiculously slow learner, but I give a shit about what I give a shit about. And so if I don't know the answer and I will go find out, or I will ask somebody to get the answer.
Yeah.
And I think instead of spending the time to get like defensive of whatever the topic is, fucking figure it out. I feel really good after I've done a seminar, after I've done a certification, after I've like read an article, even listened to like a training podcast about maybe that topic that I was a little bit insecure about. Something to just keep gaining knowledge of, okay, I feel a little bit more confident in this. Can I give an answer yet? Okay, no, but do I know someone that can give an answer better than me? And I think at the end of that, people will respect that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's like...
That's just ownership over yourself.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where, instead of taking the time to like, should talk the other person, make a fight out of it, defend your own ego, which is what you're trying to do, maybe just do a little bit of research, or maybe just ask the appropriate questions to somebody else that can help give you a clearer path of what that is. Because I really believe that's where that like automatic defense comes from of you just don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It's like when people tell me that you lift heavy, you're gonna automatically hurt yourself. I'm like, you just don't know.
You don't understand.
You just don't know the topic, and that's okay. You're just uneducated in it. But let me educate you on it, because I know that topic, so I can help you with that.
I get that a lot with rounded backs and deadlifting.
Yeah, it's a common one. That is a common one. Yeah.
Not everybody's spine goes perfectly flat. It just doesn't happen.
No, and you have a pretty fucking good deadlift. So I would, if I rounded my back more could lift that, I probably would.
Yeah. TikTok's the worst for that.
It is.
Every single
Everyone's
time.
a form Nazi now.
Oh yeah.
And I think that also kind of goes to a previous point of too, like where there's amazing lifters out there, and not everyone's gonna lift the same.
No.
Everyone's built differently, every proportions are different, and you also don't know that person's history. Like, is that your first time ever deadlifting with a rounded back? Probably fucking not. You've probably done it, what, hundreds, maybe thousands of times?
9 years worth of it?
Yeah, right? So I think it's one of those things that you just don't know. You just don't know what your training's like, what your everyday life is like, and what you're built like. You're watching 20 seconds of a lift and thinking you can give a proper diagnosis of what's going to happen to you?
Nah.
Yeah. It's not going to. I know people that have had extremely flat backs and fucking thrown their back out. So, flat back, we'll put into quotations. But again, that just goes into the uneducated path. And, you know, learn a little bit more about deadlifts. Ask you, like, does that hurt your back? No? Okay, how come? Like, dig a little bit more. Because if you really don't know the answer, I'm not going to get mad at you for it. You just don't know.
I think a big problem, too, is people can't admit that they don't know.
Yeah, I think so, too.
So they'll give an answer to something, assuming it's correct, find out it's wrong, and never admit that.
Yes. Admitting you're wrong is a very hard thing for people to do, too.
I think it's only hard at the beginning, like any skill. It's tough to do.
Yeah.
But once you do it over and over and over again, it really makes no impact.
Yes.
I've had so many clients ask questions that I didn't know the answer to.
Yeah.
I would tell them straight up, I'm not confident in this. I'm going to give you my best educated guess for now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to message you later with the actual answer once I figure it out.
Yeah.
And they appreciate that so much more.
Yeah.
Because half the time I might be correct, and the other half the time completely wrong. Opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I'll come back and be like, hey, so that thing I told you, don't listen to that. Disregard it entirely. This is the real answer. I didn't mislead them.
No.
And it's not wrong that I gave them the wrong information because I admitted that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I fixed the mistake after.
Yeah.
I think that's a really big missing piece.
I think so too. And I think to add to your point, at that time you were answering it, that was in your best judgment of what you thought was the right answer at that time. Reflecting on it is so different of being like, oh, I could have answered that a little bit better. And then coming back and being like, I have something to add to this.
Yeah.
I have this bad habit where I'll like look off in the distance of when like I'm talking to people because I start thinking about shit. And so I like eye contact. I'm not like, you know, afraid to make eye contact with a stripper because I think I'm going to fall in love with her. It's like, I'm not bad with eye contact. I just get like, if I start to look at someone too long and I want to think about my answer, I feel pressure.
Yeah.
So I automatically look away and I'm like, okay, like, and I start compartmentalizing of what it is that I think I can answer this question for. So I'm like, okay, based on, I'm in a job where I see most of my people more than twice a week.
Yeah.
So I can be like, oh, based on what I saw you do this time, this day, like I can start putting like different pieces of the puzzle together and I start thinking about stuff, and that's why I look away. Because I don't want that person to like be like hurt. Like I feel like it's that they want that urgency from me.
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know, hurry up. They might not have said it, but in my head that's where I translate it to. So I look off into the distance to be like, okay, I can almost like organize it in my head because I'm really good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
So I can start like making it into an order, and it kind of gets into almost like a checklist.
Yeah.
And thinking about, especially I'm sure you have this too, especially when it comes to exercise or even like anatomy and all those things. It's a fucking like booklet.
Oh, it's huge.
It's a booklet. So when you give an answer, you're like, I think this is the best like shoulder rehab exercise you should do based on this, and this. You give it to them, okay, cool. And then they come back the next day and they're like, oh, I saw this on the internet. And you're like, yeah, that's a good one too. That's great. Add that in as well. Like that's, and admitting like, oh yeah, I forgot about that exercise. Because you should. There's a fucking thousands of them.
Many.
Like there's thousands of them. And there's the ones that work the best are the ones that you are going to believe work the best.
Yeah.
And so that can also be a big spider web of things as well, of digging into deep, like, how much, how little, blah, blah. But if in your head you're like, I know this is going to work based on experience, I'm going to give it to you. But yeah, to go to your like previous point of just acknowledging like, maybe I don't know the answer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't think deeply enough. Maybe I just wanted this conversation done and over with. Maybe I just want you to shut up and do your leg press. Like there's a lot of different things that you're like, okay, now coming back to it, this is what I think you should do. And taking the time, sometimes even during a workout, someone will ask me a question, and I might not give them an answer until like 20 minutes later.
Oh yeah.
And because they'll be like, oh, what should I do for, could be completely unrelated. We're squatting, but they're talking about like nutrition, right? So it's a nutrition question. And I'll come back and be like, you should do this. And they think I've completely forgotten about it. But I'm like, okay, I needed some time to organize it. I had to think about it. I had to separate myself a little bit, let them continue. Because especially here or training in person, people ask things as soon as they comes to their mind. And we're lucky enough that we're able to have that quick interaction, because sometimes with obviously like online check-ins, it gives enough for like the emotions to die down and people to really organize their thoughts and think things through.
Yeah.
But you also like get in person, you get a little bit of like, I can think of a different word right now besides vulnerability.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, you really want to know this question like now. And that's okay. So you could do your workout and let me think about this. Here's an answer. And then, they could try it. Maybe there's a better answer for you later and be like, you know what, I was wrong. This is actually a better answer than before. And
I've drifted away from answering questions while coaching.
Yeah.
Especially if they take more than 2 minutes to answer.
Yeah. Especially when people want to do their workout in an hour.
My solution is they ask a question that I know is going to take too long to answer. You ask them if they have their phone, get them to message it to you.
Yeah.
And then I don't address it again until like later in the day. When I'm fully done coaching, then I'll just go back and answer every
and you're like,
question.
there it is. Yeah, that's smart too. I also think to go to admitting you're wrong, I think people forget that we're all just people at the end of this. Like, people fuck up all the time. We have errors all the time. We put so much trust in even people that we deem so much smarter than us, and there's still errors.
Oh yeah.
There's still, we're not going to get into politics because I'm not going in there, but we're not this kind of conversation. But there's errors all the time in politics. We just want to, when it just comes up, we just get so shocked by it. There's errors all the time when it comes to training, when it comes to giving people what we think is our best judgment. And there's also, my answers change the more I change.
Oh yeah.
So the longer I've been in the gym, if I've been injured, been healthy, my views on things, or even talking to more people, things change the more I change. Or my answer changes the more I change. And I think that's a good thing too, because there's going to be the clients that are going to change with you, or there's the clients that are going to change and maybe go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think
they might have really loved the person that you were specifically when they started.
Yeah.
As you grow, as you learn, as you level up as a coach, as you should be, you're going to become a completely different coach in a year, 2 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
They just might not vibe with that anymore.
And they might not like it. And some people don't want to change. Some people are very happy with their maybe 3 sets of 10 in a program, 3 sets of 12. People are maybe sometimes really happy with that.
Yeah.
So it's okay sometimes to be like, have you tried this way though? And I think that's also a good thing about why I like talking to other coaches. That's also a really important referral system. I was training a client out here, just get him like in good shape in the gym because he wasn't doing anything before.
Yeah.
And now you're training him for strongman.
Yeah.
It makes sense as far as the progression goes, that I'm like, you should go get programming from Jared. This would be smart. Get coaching once a week. Once a week?
Once a week, one-on-ones, 3 times a week, just in with the group.
Yeah, okay. So getting like in-person coaching, I'm like, I just needed to get you in the gym lifting stuff. Okay, you wanted to compete in strongman, go this direction, right? And I think that's the best fit.
Oh yeah.
He's still under the same roof. I still get to see him. We're still buddies, obviously. But this makes sense. This progression makes sense. If there's other people that I believe would be a better fit for them, like fucking go. That's great.
Because if you don't, it's just a disservice to the client.
Yeah. And eventually
that's
they
just you being greedy at the end.
Yeah. You eventually you really just want their money at the end of it. And I've seen that a lot too. I've seen other coaches be like, they just want your money.
Yeah.
And you can see through that too. And I think that's where like sometimes my business and the business side of things, paying for overhead, etc., and being a trainer sometimes have conflicting views based on where I'm getting my opinions from or advice. And I have to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't feel right about certain cost contracts. I don't feel right about certain additional fees that that other places have told me to do based on charging people, because I want people to feel like this is a place where they can be free almost, not add extra stress to their life. Yeah. Training is stress, obviously, because it's training, but
fun stress.
But a different kind of stress. And there's also, you start to get too far away from the person that you are at your core. Things start to feel weird. They start to feel like not like you. And I feel like going too much in that direction of, charging for things I don't feel comfortable with, makes me too far away from the person that I feel like I'm at my core.
Yeah.
Of where I'm like, well, I feel like I can be a little more understanding in this way. I feel like I can be a little bit more flexible in this way. It's important to still have your boundaries, because there are people that will take advantage of that. But at the same time, again, it kind of goes to the previous point. I'm like, we're all just people just trying to fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you need me to pause your membership because you're having this issue, okay, I still think you should come into the gym or make sure that you're working out, doing something. But if it's a cost, like, what can we do here? Like, it's based off of problem solving and conversation. Sometimes I've noticed that too, where people will be very quick to do one thing up, especially you've probably noticed too, in health and fitness, it's the first thing to go when things get stressful.
Oh yeah.
They want to quit their membership, they want to decrease their training, and I'm like, why don't we make it a conversation? Is it the cost of the gym? Is it the times? Okay, well, what is the problem and how can we solve it? Because I think people also forget that no matter what the stress is, they're going to find a way to deal with it. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you're not going to be at the gym 3 times a week for an hour. What are you going to be doing instead? Are you going to be drinking? Are you going to be watching an hour of Netflix? Like, what are you going to be doing instead that's going to be managing your stress better?
I also think a lot of people, with that specific example, they will look back and think, okay, I didn't have this money stress or I didn't have this life stress before I started training, because that's the newest part of my life.
Yeah.
So I should take that back out so I can go back to this peaceful time.
Right. Yeah.
But they don't realize that it's not just going to switch back.
Yeah.
It's going to stay
Yeah.
until you fully address that, if you even can. It's there now. That's just part of life for a little while.
Yeah.
So cutting out the one part that's keeping you as healthy as possible isn't going to help that stress.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I think that's such a interesting take of it, of that new stress got into your life. What's the difference? Now you have this gym membership, for example, added into it. You got to take that away to manage the stress better. That's a very interesting take on it, which I think sometimes can changes. I think it's also like change is scary for people too.
Oh yeah.
So when there's that, they're like, they almost want to revert back to that person that they were before or previous or before that stress, as opposed to like, I feel like those kind of things are just like an injury. It's not a quit, it's just a pivot.
Yeah.
I think everything is a problem solve and a pivot. That it's like, okay, there's this now, but now what? Maybe you can't train at the gym 6 days a week for an hour, but you probably could do 3. And then they'll be like, okay, I'm happy I didn't quit on myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that everyone can relate to, is that feeling of just not quitting on themselves.
For sure.
And I mean, because there's always going to be something that comes up in life that's going to be just stressful, and you're going to want to hide and be, I can't think, lazy by nature.
Yeah.
Hide away from it, whatever it is. Maybe not address it, ignore it. But when you reflect on it, you're like, oh, but I still like made these promises to myself and I still did them. It feels pretty damn good.
Oh yeah.
So.
And almost everybody that's quit
Yeah.
for the thing that I said, they'll come back later.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, did you get that sorted out? No. It's still there.
Yeah.
It didn't go away, so they came back.
Yeah. It
Why
didn't
not
go
just
away or
skip
something
that
else
middle
replayed
part
it. Yeah.
So that you can keep making progress.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Maybe it would have went away.
Yeah.
It didn't in this instance, so you came back. But if it did go away and you stayed, just think of how much closer you'd be to achieving that promise you made.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Or the stress was just replaced with something else.
Yeah.
There's never a good time for anything. It's the same thing with like signing up for the gym. People are like, oh, wait for the good time. And I'm like, when's that? When's the good time to do it?
What's the shift?
Yeah.
What do you expect to change?
Yeah, exactly. When did you first start training?
I very first started in high school, and the reason is super stupid.
I love it already. I'm excited.
So it's 3 things that happened within like 2 weeks.
Okay.
I was walking through the high school hallway, and 2 guys come out of a classroom and they go different directions. One's walking right beside me, and he turns and looks. He's like, oh, I thought you were my friend. Other guy's just waiting for him to figure it out. He's like, you thought I was that guy? I'm not that thin. And I was like, aw, that cut deep. Jump to a couple days later, and walking through the same hallway, there's 2 girls sitting on a bench, and they're just complaining about the fact that they don't have abs and they wish they had abs. And I walked past them having that same conversation several times. And the only thought I could come up with is, why don't you just do something to get abs? That was like the first part where I'm just like, okay, fuck it, I'll just go get abs. Because I'm thinking this, and I'm like, well, what's the harm in having abs? Might as well just start doing something for it. So I started just, as everyone does, doing crunches and sit-ups in their parents' basement.
Of course, yeah.
And then in the friend group I was in, don't remember what brought it up, but we all started arm wrestling on the floor. And I almost lost to the guy that everybody thought was the weakest.
Yeah.
And I have a big ego, and that cut too deep. So I started doing calisthenics and banded training. That lasted for about 6 months. After I did everything that I could with the equipment that I had, and I couldn't make anything harder because there's only so many skills you can learn in calisthenics with just the floor, I started going to a gym, and I haven't really left outside of COVID. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
But haven't really left since.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's cool. It's real. It
That's
feels
I
so
fucking love
stupid
that
to
story.
say. Other people are like, oh, I did it to like stand up to bullies or to like get this chick or this reason. I'm just like, I was just petty.
Just wanted to show these chicks that I had abs. Did you tell them after? Did you like I got abs?
No. I was a massive introvert, and I didn't talk to anybody.
What was your first gym membership?
It was at No Limits.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah.
I was the closest one to home, so
yeah.
Just get a ride out there 3-4 times a week. Actually, I started cleaning there, so I didn't have to pay for the membership because I didn't have a job either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, the classic, like, do bitch work at the gym so you get the membership.
Yeah.
Classic story.
Classic. And
classic
then
story.
More classics on top. You start with starting strength, like just perfect bare bones, how everybody starts at the gym, it seems.
Yep.
Good times.
That's a good story. I like that. The skinny little fuck at school that just couldn't handle it.
I was like,
I love it.
Bouncing between 110 and 115 pounds.
Oh, you're little.
I was tiny. Like I have a picture that I can show you later. It's not good.
That's funny. And then what made you get into like competing in strongman then? Were you just like training at No Limits and you saw other people, or?
So at No Limits, I trained both like a physiotherapist trying to fix things because I had weird joints. Come to learn that's hypermobility.
Yeah.
And then also for powerlifting that I wasn't gonna do, because at the time I did not think small guys could compete in strength sports. I had no clue that there was this wide range in weight classes, because you only ever see the big dudes.
Right, exactly.
That's the only guys that you see blow up on Instagram and YouTube, or at least that's how it was back in like 2017, 2018.
Yeah. Whoever was on the cover of like, what was it, Powerlifting USA or whatever?
You're just like, well, I'm not 6'4", 250, 300 pounds, so I can't do that. Still trained that way.
Yeah, of course.
But then when I started my first job at Strength Camp in Fitness, Jake brought back the strongman competitions to Kamloops. It was like the first time in like 8 years that we had one. And I was not going to compete because, again, I'm like, can't do it. Small guy.
Too little,
it's just not for me. And he's like, no, you have to. Like, we need more people. I want this to be a weight class so that you can compete against this other guy that's coming out. And I, again, just got like roped into it. I did end up getting first, which was really cool. I felt kind of bad for that guy who had like 3-4 years of experience, and then I show up first time, I'm just like, let me just win.
Yeah.
But after that, ego kicks in, and I'm like, well, I guess I just have to try to be the best now.
Yeah. I love it.
I've just kind of been doing it ever since.
Yeah. Was it one of those things that once you did your first comp, you're like, oh, this is what I was meant to do? Did you have that feeling?
I did kind of have that feeling.
Yeah.
'Cause, I learned that powerlifting did have more weight classes.
Yes.
But I could not for the life of me stick to a powerlifting program.
Right.
Because it was just the same thing.
Yeah.
Over and over. There wasn't enough variety for my scrambled brain to like enjoy training all the time.
Right.
Squat, bench, deadlift, and I suck at bench. So I was like, I got 2, and that's not enough. It's not enough to justify it.
Yeah. But it's literally made for you move one position one time.
Yeah.
Like
and then strongman, they're like, yeah, there's like probably 96 to 150 different events that could show up in any order with any amount of reps or time frame, and I'm like, oh my god.
Right, you like the variety.
I get to train for everything all the time and constantly rotate through things.
Right.
So I stick to programs now, but they're always slightly shifting.
Right.
Slight different emphases, different peaking, trying to manage how you're peaking for this lift and this lift at the same time without burning out. Mm-hmm. It just keeps me a lot busier.
Right. Kind of keeps always like the constant questions and trying to always just figure it out. Like, it always just seems like the puzzle's always like changing.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And I've always had like a really big passion since I got into it for building programs, be it for any purpose. I would just write programs that I wasn't even going to use just because I liked putting those pieces together to be like, this is the end result that's going to give. And with Strongman, I get to do that weekly.
Right.
I don't just make a program that's going to last you 3 months that you're going to run through forever. You have to like rotate things over and over, and it's always changing and evolving, and you're going to find new imbalances and limitations as new events come out because they're still making more somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just always something new to keep me busy in that way, and then there's always a new problem and puzzle to solve.
Right.
And those they just go together so perfectly for me.
Right. That is interesting of where it's so different than like powerlifting's just been like that squat, bench, deadlift, that's it.
Yeah.
Where strongman's like, let's fuck around with this a little bit, and then they try something new and different on it, and it seems like it takes a couple competitions to get like, if it's a new event, to get it like I don't even want to say perfected because nothing in any sport is perfected, but to get like
just to get it more honed in and efficient.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good story.
And so you're powerlifting.
Powerlifting.
Why do you pick that?
Oh man. So let's rewind. So should I go all the way back into like my full why I started weight training thing too?
Might as well.
Okay. So I used to be very fast in sports, like soccer, basketball. I was always the first one to the ball, down the court. Couldn't do fuck all with the ball.
But I could get there.
But I could get there before anybody. I was fast. And I was a great runner. That's why it's always funny to me when people are like talking to me about running. Like I've never heard of it before. And I'm like, I used to be a really great runner. Like I know what running is. And but so I would get there, and I'm very unathletic. I'm very uncoordinated. I find like always found sports very challenging, but I liked being a part of the community aspect. I liked that feel of being a part of something. And anyways, and I used to love basketball, but I was terrible at it, but I was obsessed with Michael Jordan. And so I'd be the first one to the ball and couldn't do fuck all with it. Yeah. And so my basketball coach was like, you have the weakest upper body I'd ever seen. So I got my first gym membership and researched training articles like you wouldn't believe. And so I always didn't understand why like Oxygen magazine for women had like 12 to 15 reps of everything, and 12 was considered heavy. And all these guys had like 6 reps and less. And I was like, I never understood why there was such a difference of men train this way, women train this way. And I was always trying to figure it out. And so I went to the gym, kept trying to get my upper body stronger, and I didn't really understand of what that looked like, because I was like, okay, well, I'm supposed to be doing 15 flies on like a pec deck, everything was 15 reps of this Oxygen magazine.
That's gross.
And it's terrible. And I was like, but I wanted to get strong.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't translating over. And what I became more obsessed with was the time in the gym. And that's always been my thing, is I've never been the best. I've never been the strongest. But if you want me in there for 3 to 6 hours a day, I'll fucking be there. And I will outlast anybody. And that was always my thing. And when I was in the gym, that's when I felt most like myself.
Yeah.
I didn't like being at school. I didn't like really being at home. And I was like, but I love being here. So I'd go to the gym multiple times a day. And I was about 13 or 14. And that's when I started telling people, I'm going to own a gym one day. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This makes so much sense to me. And so I was doing that, the Y. It was near St. Anne's. That's where I used to go to school. So I'd walk down to the Y, work out like multiple times a day. I was just, it felt like it was where I could think the clearest. It felt like I was most like myself. If you and I went to a party and you're like, tell this whole party a story, I would be fucking petrified. But if I'm training, I want you to stop whatever the fuck you're doing and watch me train.
Okay.
It's where I feel the most like myself. And I don't know why that is. I don't know where that is, but it's like where that came from. And it's never been a question of like how much weight I can put on or how aesthetically much better I look than somebody else. It's like, I've always just thought, I feel like you're capable of more.
Right.
It's always been that. And because I've always found those things really hard, I've always found I found powerlifting hard because I just was like not naturally a good squatter. I found deadlifting, I found everything really hard and challenging. And I was like, but I will be here as long as you fucking want me to be. Maybe longer. So anyways, I started working at another gym at 16. It was Counts Fit Center, a personal training gym at the up in Sahali. It's owned by different people. Oh, back then it was owned by different people.
Right.
And I saw all these trophies on the wall, and like everybody else, I was like obsessed with looking at bodybuilding magazines, still trying to figure out the difference of why men had like different reps than women. Like still trying to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
And the owners of the gym were competitive bodybuilders, and I was like, could I do that? And they were like, yeah, why not? So I signed up for junior bodybuilding. So I started training at about 17. And I always liked that feeling of just like pushing heavy, but I didn't know what that meant because there was really no like information as far as powerlifting goes in Kamloops.
Yeah.
And, but I was like, but I think Ronnie Coleman's cool. I like, like everybody else. You see CJ Cutler. You see all these like really Arnold. Come on, right? So you're looking at all these awesome like bodybuilders. And you're like, yeah, okay. So I did my first show as a junior bodybuilder, and I loved being on stage. I loved and that probably goes to the same aspect of anything I sign up for and I'm confident in, I want that like attention almost.
Right.
But outside of that, I don't want it. I don't like the attention outside of the things that I'm confident in. And
maybe a better word is recognition.
Recognition is a better word. I like that. And so I did that for 5 years. And after my last bodybuilding show, this is when I was in open bodybuilding. So I'm out of juniors now into open bodybuilding. And I was still really young.
Yeah.
So I didn't have enough muscle mass and I wasn't lean enough. Obviously, right? Not enough muscle mass. I'm fucking just cardioing as much as I can to try to get leaner, but there's not enough muscle there to show, blah, blah. And they're like, you have to get bigger. And I was like, okay. So in my head, I'm like, that means push heavier. What does that mean? Got some information, talked to some different people. Signed up for my first powerlifting meet, switched over to powerlifting, did my first meet, and I was like, I belong right here. I finished squats, so if anybody doesn't know, squat, bench, deadlift, squats go first in your meet. After I've done squats, I was like, this is where I belong. And I've never been like world record holding, anything like that. And I've had good numbers. Like I hold my own, I do well.
Yeah.
But I've never felt like I belong more in something ever. And I think it's that community aspect of we all are from so many different places, but for a small amount of time, we have one thing in common. And I always thought that was really cool.
That's so, like, even in strongman too, I did not expect everyone to be so friendly.
Yeah, right?
You go and you see other sports and people are yelling and screaming at each other and there's fights breaking out.
Yeah.
And then you come to powerlifting and strongman, and the people that you're directly competing against are the ones that are cheering for you the most.
Yeah, it's true.
It's baffling. It's such a culture shift to actually experience it, because you can't see it. It's all going on behind the camera.
Yeah, but to be a part of it is very different.
It's so different.
And I think it's because I think it's a difference between this is everybody's chosen hobby. The other thing is the other people are getting paid lots of money for it. There's a lot of like contracts, people fight over things, blah, 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 because like we're going to compare like NBA, their contracts look very different. So I think there's that bit more of that like direct competition that way.
Yeah.
Whereas like ours is all based on a hobby of, we all had our demons to get here, but somehow we're all kind of fighting them together in some sort of like, we're not all talking about it, but in some sort of way, we're just dealing with our own shit together.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said of everyone is going to forget what we lift, but people are never going to forget how we make them feel. And I think there's something very like, I want people to remember the mark that I made for them of maybe why they signed up to powerlifting, of maybe like they thought they were going to bail out on the meet that day, but maybe something I said to them made them pull their last deadlift. Something like that, of where I'm like, I'm very competitive on where I want to win, but I want you to perform at your best capability too. And I think that's maybe why I've wanted to just do this long term of, it isn't, because numbers are never satisfying enough.
No.
I thought I was going to be satisfied when I hit my first 225 bench. I thought I was going to be satisfied when I hit my first 405 deadlift. And I thought I was going to be satisfied when I hit my first 350 squat. And my first thought is, it's always you're capable of more.
You hit it, and then you're like, okay, well, what's the next number
now?
It just moves up.
Yeah.
It's never going to stop.
No. And I think the best memories I have of what other people have done or what other people do, or like the sounds that I hear based off of something I've done or something that somebody else has done, like it's the way the things that make you feel is so different than based on the weight that is in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I've always thought of is, because right now I'm trying to deal with like a back injury before I compete again, because I don't want to hit what I've hit before. I want to beat it, because I believe I'm capable of more.
Yeah.
Whether I'm wrong or right doesn't fucking matter, but it's enough to make me think you are capable of more. And if I hit what I think I'm able to do, I'm like, yeah, I was capable of more. Then now what? Is there someone else I can think is capable of more? Maybe I have to bring them along with me. And I think that's also like, if we're going to tie the back how that's how athlete Bianca feels. Trainer Bianca feels, okay, I did this based off of having to go through these hurdles. Are you going through the same thing? Like, I got you. Like, I can help you.
Let's jump it together.
Let's jump it together. Fucking toss you over the hurdle. So, yeah, that's how I started powerlifting. So now I'm in for life.
Yeah, you're stuck now. There's no escaping.
I fucking love it. I don't know if I'll ever go back to bodybuilding. I want to say never say never on anything. Maybe I'll like blow both my arms off and both my legs, and I'll just have to compete in a bodybuilding show and judge my abs based off of teenage Jared would be really happy with my abs. But I think my biggest thing is I feel the most confident when I'm grinding and pushing, and that's what I loved about powerlifting was the grind of it. I love grinding through a lift. I love the thought of this is going to take me for fucking ever, but I'm going to finish it, or I'm going to leave everything on that platform so nobody can question that I didn't try.
Yeah.
My thing was I never want to be questioned that I didn't try, because maybe I did get it, maybe I didn't. And I think that's where my mindset had to shift and start learning about myself, is because with the injury I'm currently going through, I've never had something where it's been physical over mental.
Right.
I've always been able to do mental over physical. Even when I've hurt something, I'll be like, ow, and then I'll step back and be like, you're not hurt, you're good, and then I got it.
Yeah.
I've never had something where it's set me back so much. In my mind, I'm like, okay, this only happened because there's a weakness in the chain somewhere, because I wouldn't have got hurt. So whatever that weakness is, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to get it stronger.
Yeah. And
then on the trainer side, I'm like, okay, I know based on experience, so I can help if somebody else has a back injury. I'm like, okay, I know why this hurts you, and then hopefully I can stop them from getting maybe to a place of where I did. Maybe I can set it back like 50%.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm stopping them from getting that, like, the place where I should have stopped. Maybe I'm getting them in a better spot. And so I think there's something so special about the powerlifting community, because I've also really met incredible people in the powerlifting community, and I've had my support system of growing up was always me believing in myself more than anybody else. I had like a teacher tell my mom in grade 6 I was going to amount to nothing. I had people laugh at me when I told them I was going to open a gym. Like I had a lot of people rooting against me, and I've always really believed in myself, maybe more than I should have, but I did. I still do. And I've met people in this community that I've looked up to, that I've been like, okay, I put you on a pedestal and you think I'm capable of more? Okay. Like, and people that are so in different parts of the world that just don't know how much they've inspired me, just based off the fact that all we have in common is a barbell. So that's how it all came together, was the common ground was a barbell, and have grown great relationships, met really great people, had really awesome memories from just the common ground was a barbell. That's pretty cool. And I think that's where, like, again, I don't care if people compete in powerlifting, bodybuilding, strong. I don't care if you ever compete a day in your life. But I think finding a community that you're part of and something that inspires you to see what you're capable of is what you should be looking for.
And hence, gym.
Gym.